Good evening and welcome to another exciting episode of Trends Live on SABC News Channel 404. I'm your host, Ngwenya, and we're with you every Friday at 8 p.m. So let's go. The fourth Miss Bachelorette South Africa was crowned at the Lyric Theatre in Gold Reef City this past weekend. The pageant is said to be the one and only in the country that focuses on unmarried, mature and independent women between the ages of 25 and 50. It is aimed at fighting gender-based violence and femicide by recognizing and empowering these women. We are now joined by organizer and CEO Refilwe Mogale and the new Miss Bachelorette South Africa 2023, Lwandle Ngwenya. Welcome to the studio, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. I want to start with you, Refilwe. Mature, unmarried and independent woman. What inspired the idea of this pageant?
So firstly, I am one woman who has always been passionate about the modeling and pageantry industry. And then when I grew up, I realized that I'm very passionate about women empowerment. Now I thought, the two go together excellently well, because I thought the modeling industry would be a perfect platform for me to push my interest in making sure that women are empowered. But then I was at first struggling a bit with the title that I should come up with and what the pageant should focus on. At first I thought, okay, no, maybe all the meaningful titles are already taken. But then one day this idea just popped in my head that, there are different pageants all across the country and across the world, but there is not one that is actually focusing on women that are not married and are at a mature age and are also independent. And the one thing that gave me the biggest drive was the fight against gender-based violence and femicide. And it's all because, unfortunately, we still live in a country where most of us in the society would stigmatize women that have reached a mature age but are not yet married. A lot of women at the age of 25 plus would start getting questions like, when are you getting married? The clock is ticking. When are you starting to have kids? Those kind of questions that would give one pressure. And I think that's one thing that we're missing as a society. The fact that we give, because sometimes even a mother would ask their kids such questions. And when you're getting such a question from someone who is as close to your heart as your mother, you start feeling the pressure. You stant now prioritizing getting married. You become desperate. And the more desperate you become, the more you are prone to fall into, an abusive relationship and still stick to it, stay in it, all because you just want somebody who is close to your heart to be happy. Absolutely. So I thought to myself, with this journey, I could create role models out of women that are mature and independent, so that young girls can see that it is okay and it is possible to live a healthy, happy life, even though you are not yet married.
Absolutely, Refilwe. You mentioned there the fight against gender-based violence and femicide. How exactly do you plan on doing this, and what strides have you made so far?
I'm excited. I was about to say I'm excited, to mention the fact that we have started already. So we have established a foundation, which is called Miss Bachelorette Foundation. It is the philanthropy division of the Miss Bachelorette South Africa. So what we do there is, during each journey of the finalists, one of the tasks that they are given is that they need to raise funds towards Miss Bachelorette Foundation, and then we identify families that are disadvantaged or are impoverished. And what we do there is, like recently what we did during her journey together with the other finalists, is that after raising funds, we selected the community of Alexandra. And what we did there is we bought them blankets, we bought them school uniform for the school kids and everything. And one question that I got around the school uniform, that I always get around the school uniform, is that, but you guys are fighting gender-based violence, so why school uniform, why school kids? And the most important thing that we don't realize is that, unfortunately, if a child grows up in a poverty situation, when they reach a stage where they are now ready for an intimate relationship, and they happen to meet a provider who is also an abuser,
Yeah.
they most likely will stay in their abusive relationship because they're desperate just to have bread on the table.
Absolutely. Lwandle, the reigning queen, I'm going to bring you in here. So your fellow contestants chose you for the Congeniality Prize.
My goodness.
Why do you think they chose you for this?
You see, I actually had no idea, you know. It surprised me so much. When they called my name, I said, oh my goodness, it means that the type of person I am was easily read by the women around me. I'm a realist, I'm full of love, and I think one of my answers I mentioned that there is nothing as powerful as just spreading true love and care, because once you have love, you have patience and kindness, and you have compassion of, you know, helping a sister, because it's about sisterhood. You know, it mustn't just be a competition as if you're competing with someone else, but you're competing with yourself. As Refilwe had said, that we're empowering ourselves as we empower people. So I'm there at the competition, but if a sister needs help, an ear, or anything physical, if I can help, I will help. So I guess the ladies felt that.
Absolutely. And when we were speaking earlier on off air, you told me that you're a professional jewelry maker. I mean, that's amazing. And you're an actress and a model.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And an entrepreneur.
It's all true. You are sharing this, aren't you?
So why did you choose to enter this competition, and how does it fit in with your character?
With me, at the mature age that I'm in right now, for me, entering pageants has to be very significant. I looked for a pageant that is meaningful, that has good meaning. So for me, Miss Bachelorette South Africa stood out so much because it's empowering women, it's working with kids, because an empowered kid is an empowered woman in future. So for me, I said, I want to bring change, I want to do change, and I'm a goldsmith, I make jewelry. So what I can do is teach women how to make jewelry. Which woman? Any woman that wants to be independent, any woman that wants to come out of an abusive relationship where they're probably financially dependent. And if I can teach you how to make jewelry, then that means you can be financially set to step out of a relationship that is abusive. Because sometimes we say, leave an abusive relationship, but then where do we tell them to go? And how do they leave? Let's say they have about 3 kids or no kids, but if you are in a place where you not financially dependent, you struggle to leave that place. So if I can give you something tangible, you can learn how to make jewelry, then you have money coming your side that you can actually be free financially, and you're free from this abusive relationship.
Absolutely. Now you made it to the top 5, then you were one of 2 standing on that stage, shaking very much. Can you just tell us, you know, what was going through your mind during this time?
Firstly, I was in awe. Firstly, the lady that I was holding hands with was one of the first ladies that I started a relationship with in the group of ladies, the top 16. So when I held hands with her and I lifted my eyes, it was just her, and she was looking at me, and we said, wow, it's us. You know, we share the same interest when it comes to Miss Bachelorette and when it comes to helping women. So that was my first thing, and it brought tears to my eyes. You'd notice one of the videos, I started crying before they even called out the winner, because I was like, you're my friend, and we're here. And it's you and I. Yeah. But I almost couldn't believe it, because then I said to myself, I'm one step away from empowering women in a broader scale, because Miss Bachelorette South Africa is a broad scale, you know, and it's so great to see people and companies like yours that empower it so much, that puts it in a platform, because that's all that's needed. It's a good leadership. Miss Bachelorette is a good leadership. And for them to be put in the forefront for people to see, because it's time to heal people. It's about healing now. Absolutely. There's a lot of women who are broken, a lot of kids who are broken, and families. And if we can start broadcasting such beautiful insights and healing people, we are traveling very far with helping people.
And just very quickly, Refilwe, what is the criteria for entering this pageant?
So the criteria is we're focusing on women that are between the ages of 25 and 50. Whether or not you're a mother, it does not matter. Okay. Your body size, your height, it does not matter. You just come as you are. Because like I said, the focus here is to make sure that we empower women that are unmarried, mature, and independent.
Yes. Right. Thank you so much, ladies, for your inspirational words. I truly appreciate having you in studio tonight.
Thank you for having us. It's been great.
And all the best with your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
So much.
The much anticipated Metro FM Music Awards 2023 are a week away, and we certainly can't wait to celebrate with the South African music industry at Ngwenya Stadium next Saturday. Now, these awards are major. SABC received over 900 submissions and had to narrow that down to those they deem most impactful in highlighting the best of these categories. But these awards are based on public voting, and this is your chance, Mzansi, to make your favorite artists walk away with the coveted titles. So let's get to voting, yeah? The voting details are on the screen, so do the right thing. And check out this next insert for the full lowdown about the MMAs.
The Metro FM Music Awards 2023 countdown has officially begun. All roads are leading to Ngwenya Stadium in Mpumalanga. On-air personality Lerato Kganyago and Katlego Maboe, Alfim Kwanazi, Somizi, Zanele Potelo and Mpumi Mlambo will be hosting the star-studded ceremony. After narrowing the list of entries to now only a select few, these guys will be battling it out for the key categories. The awards will be broadcast live on SABC 1, SABC Plus and Metro FM's YouTube channel at 8 o'clock. So tune in and witness as some of the biggest South African music acts hit the stage. And of course, you don't want to miss the black carpet as your favorite celebrities enter this glitzy affair. You already know, because what? Black is back.
Freedom Month is a time to reflect on our country's history and different forms of freedom. Poetry is one way of creatively articulating it through the written or spoken word. Now in studio, we are joined by poet Afri Berry to help round off our Freedom Month celebrations. Welcome to Trendz Live. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Fine, thanks, Anawi, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Now, freedom can be described in various forms, but what does it mean to you as a poet and a writer?
Well, for me, freedom, being a poet and a writer, means I'm able to express myself in different ways that don't even have to involve violence. I can be creative about getting out words or things that I need to be solved out there in the universe through creativity, poetry, and maybe a bit of dance.
Now, hailing from Soweto comes with many sort of, historical events that surround freedom. What sort of themes inspire your work?
Well, most of the themes that actually inspire my work are basically around the Sharpeville massacre. How people are brutally killed for just fighting for their own right. Sometimes it actually still happens right now in this day and age that we live in, where we need to go out and we fight for a certain right, yet the government responds with violence and brutality towards our questions and why our freedom rights are not actually being exercised.
Now, poetry is a fascinating play of words. I personally love the spoken word. Now, so how can you motivate others who also have this gift to nurture it? And I'm also asking for myself here.
Well, I think it's actually pretty easy. It actually depends on a person and how you like to present yourself. There are different forms of poetry and there are different ways that artists express themselves. Some poets are poets that can actually perform but prefer writing for others. And some others can write but love performing. So I think it's all about finding somebody who gels or links perfectly with you, and in the end it all becomes kismet, fate.
Now, social media has provided platforms for many artists to share their work. How has this helped you in your journey?
Well, it has actually helped me a lot because I recently just rebranded myself. So rebranding myself is like people know that I've grown from who I used to be and have now blossomed into a beautiful and different flower. I still have the same abilities, but the much more better and with a bit of a sharper edge at the end.
I have to ask this question, how do you get inspiration for your work? Do you just sort of wake up in the morning and you hear the lyrics to a beautiful poem, or where does it all come from?
Well, that's actually quite funny because some days it's like that. Like I could be washing dishes and then all of a sudden I just hear like words flowing, and that annoys my grandmother. But in the end, she understands that's how I express myself and let myself be heard instead of having to be a very angry person. It's how I get myself to be out there and be known.
And were there any poets that you looked up to growing up that inspired your work?
If I didn't say Maya Angelou, they would kill me. It's definitely Miss Angelou. She is a very huge inspiration. I think I've read Letter to My Daughter 100 times. That book is so inspirational, especially coming from a perspective of a woman who only gave birth to a son but has so much love to the daughters that she could never have, but yet always surround her with love.
And how can you say that, poetry can be made more aware in schools, especially because children are not exposed to poetry in schools as much as, I think they should be. So how can you say that they can get this?
Well, sometimes, the old saying, when they say that sometimes teaching comes back from home, it all depends on you as a parent. If you teach your child about the different art cultures that are out there for them to express themselves without having to do any violent act, but just express themselves in a nice and creative way, then they're able to learn about poetry. Like for me, I have a little brother and a son. I'm already reading literature books to them. So they'll know that there's so many different forms of art to express yourself besides poetry. Poetry is also a good way of just writing out how you feel. Sometimes saying it is not always the best because it just comes out mumbled up, but writing it is the best and most awesome solution ever.
And who's your favorite South African poet? Just quickly.
My favorite South African poet has to be Lebogang Mashile and Kush Mahleka, a good friend of mine. They're such amazing inspirations to me.
And I have to ask you this question. You're here barefoot. I need to know, what is the significance of you not wearing shoes today?
I decided to wear heels, but then I remember that once I'm in the element, I flow like a light feather. So I wanted to be able to have freedom of movement, be able to go into different spaces, yet you're still here with me and I keep you entertained at the same time.
Thank you so much. Now, lastly, before I let you go, how can we access you?
Okay, you can access me on Facebook, it's Afriberry Kaylee Mongs, and then on Instagram, it's @Afriberry Mongs. I'm still developing my YouTube channel, but once it's out, do DM me and I'll send you the link.
Thank you. Awesome. We wish you all the best in your future ventures. I'll see you guys after the break. In the meantime, I'll leave you with the amazing Afriberry.
Saze saphela ilizwe lami. We live in a country where we keep on fighting each and every single day for our liberated rights, our freedom rights, the rights that our forefathers fought for, but we seem not to have no control over that. They said we are the generation of now, the generation of today, yet we are never taken seriously. We are groomed for jobs that will be out of the market in the next 5 years. What is our country doing to us except for letting us crush and burn as they watch because they want to sit down on these greedy seats while they fight for everything that's meant to help us? Are we in a country that loves its people, or a country that loves gaining wealth from the pain and sweat of the people? We live in a country that has no boundaries, does not even fight for human rights. As beautiful, dark-skinned, big-boned as I am, I no longer feel free to even walk in the streets at night and just roam and let everybody see me. We keep on fighting because I am seen as a piece of meat. For if I wear something nice and short, they judge me for what I wear. Yet mabafika KwaZulu Natal, uthola intombi igqoka isicebi, keep busy. I shine about when they come in Joburg. We are seen no more as people who sell themselves. Sengiyasaba ngisabela ingane zami. Because my kids can no longer walk free in the streets, roam the streets, play however they want because they are afraid that they'll be kidnapped and be one of the victims of the genocide that's happening to our population. Is our country really fighting for us? Are we really free in a country that serves no freedom, in a country that gives us no freedom at all?
Do stay tuned. Later on the show, we will be chatting to award-winning muso Nathi Mankai, who will be talking to us about his latest album titled Usiba Lwegazi. It was inspired by his personal experience of the COVID-19 pandemic when the world was unsettled. Now on to this. Indoor rock climbing has become quite a popular sport over the last few years. As the winter season sets in across the country, anyone who is lazy to go to the gym can turn their focus to indoor rock climbing. Now, if you're looking for something sporty to do this winter season, here's why indoor climbing might be ideal. Come with us.
Indoor climbing has become especially popular during winter and in cold, wetter climates where adventure climbing in the outdoors is not always a safe or sensible option. Hence, you don't have to pay a homeboarder this winter. Is it the safest way to go? Can it be an effective alternative to going to the gym? This might just be a new way to build that summer body this winter.
We offer a various range of climbing, from bouldering to sport climbing, top rope climbing and auto belay climbing, and we're catered to all age groups.
Since we're approaching winter, it's an effective alternative to working out or going to the gym. Is that true?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I think climbing is one of the greatest ways to get in touch with your body, because I think it's a full body workout, arms and legs, surprisingly. You get out into nature, often you have to walk to the places where you need to get, so that really does benefit you. There's great social things, so it's really great to keep you coming back. So you're going to keep climbing no matter what, and there's nothing better than at the end of the day just feeling tired.
I'm going to skip gym this winter. I'm not going to go to the gym to build my summer body, but I am going to consider indoor sports climbing. Is it going to help me with weight loss or?
I definitely think it can. Lots of laps, get your cardio up, keep running at it fast, and you can definitely burn calories that way. It's really good at building strength. So if you reduce the amount of laps you're doing and then you focus on pushing harder grades, holding smaller holds, making bigger moves, you can really get the strength aspect of it. So often you'll see climbers with really ripped shoulders. That's because they were working on those big, amazing moves, and they're really trying to push the strength in their shoulders. But you can go down to the easier grades and just do lots and lots of repetitions, and then you're going to develop really good cardiovascular capabilities. And that way you can lose weight definitely in that way.
Safety measures, how do I know for sure that I am not going to be injured after this?
Okay, so our first step is we try and train everyone who comes in here as best as possible. Our setting team and staff are all well trained, and we inspect equipment regularly. We've got the best measures in place to keep everyone safe.
Firstly, how should I look for this?
Well, you definitely want to be comfortable, so how you look today looks fine. Comfortable pants, comfortable shirt. We do require you to keep your shirt on in the building. What you will need when you're climbing is chalk for your hands. It helps keep moisture away. You also need climbing shoes. We don't want just any shoes on our walls, and you do get climbing specific shoes which help with friction on the wall. They're typically like a rubber, you can almost describe them as a rubber sock. They help you hold onto the wall really nicely. And then if you're on the high walls, you will need a harness. And once you've got that, you've got the basics to stay safe on our walls.
If I'm doing this for the first time, how far can I go?
You can absolutely get to the top of the walls. So we have a different system. We don't really work on height. We work on difficulty of the route we take. So you can get to the top of the wall using any holds available on the wall, and in most places, you'll absolutely be able to get to the top. If you do want to challenge yourself a bit, you can stick to specific colors, and the color of the grips is going to reduce your options on the wall. And then our setting team actually puts in a lot of effort to try and make interesting movements with that specific hold set. So if we've got a green climb and it's a certain difficulty, if you follow just the green holds, you'll reach that difficulty, and it'll be of a set intensity to get to the top. We've got a range of difficulties from quite easy to really difficult stuff, so we try and cater for everyone in our grade ranges.
Forget about Indaba namathafa, it's cold outside. If it's days of energy-packed fun with friends or just a solitary climb that you are after, indoor climbing is the safest way to go.
Ndikutelanga ngasekaya nje ndingithuma lokuba nawe ndikubambe mamela ntombazana ndiphupha ngawe ndikuthanda
I'll be chatting to your favorite ballad king, Nathi Mangai, a little later in the show, so make sure you stick around for that. He just gave us a taste of his song Liziwe, but I promise there will be more. For now, scientists have been uncovering more and more about human existence. Some of this information is kept at the Maropeng Interpretation Center near Magaliesburg for educational purposes. The center also has a few exhibitions of some animated discoveries to give an idea of how far we have come as the human race. Our reporter Kiadimilwe Molusi took a short left to the site. Let's have a look.
We are visiting Maropeng Center near Magaliesburg. Now this place, it's called Maropeng because it is where you find everything you need to know about human origin. So let's go inside and find out more. So I understand there's the cradle of humankind and there's Maropeng. Please do take us through all that.
Well, the cradle is the whole area which has a buffer zone that extends to where the casino is on the N14, and then there's the core region which is marked, with specific markers that indicate that you've entered the cradle of humankind, and it is named as such because it has been declared as a World Heritage Area, World Heritage Site. Well, it's difficult to say it's a site because there's various sites. We've got the Stekfontein Caves, we've got Dreamland, we've got Gromdry, where hominid fossils were discovered, and therefore it has been found that it has a great contribution towards humanity globally in terms of origins of human beings, or what we now know as scientifically as Homo sapiens. So it is the cradle because that's where all humans were born.
What can people find here at Maropeng?
Now, Maropeng serves as the interpretation center. So what we have here is the museum, which then serves to do the interpretation work, to educate, especially when it comes to school children, because this is part of the curriculum, but also society, broadly in terms of the different findings here. We've got the Homona lady, who was also very famous, and there was a big launch when that discovery was made. We have Mrs. Players, which I believe is one of the first findings, but also the whole area. We've got Robustus, which is another specimen. But what is important, I think, is the fact that we've got a variety of discoveries and fossils, but also the number of them. I mean, we are in competition with East Africa and sometimes West Africa or Northern African countries in terms of the oldest, because the competition now would be which is the oldest. But with us, we've got a greater diversity and also the sheer number of all these fossils that were found. So what we do then is to try and animate that knowledge, because when they discovered it is as fossils that were dug up by the archaeologists. So the interpretation work is to try and bring to our imagination what these species looked like, to demonstrate how we evolved from the hominids to upright or walking tall human beings that we are today.
Now, from the face-to-face exhibition, we went back in time through a timeline tunnel with Onika.
This is the big underground museum that we have at Maropeng that serves as an interpretation center. So it is actually divided into 3 sections. So we have the first part, which is the past, present, on the second part, the future on the last part. So basically on the first part, we call it the birthplace of the cradle, simply because of it explains more about fossil discoveries that are made in South Africa and other places as well around the world. Then you would also go and actually engage with a dodo bird. You definitely listen to their story through a phone or something like that. Then on the second part, which is the path to humanity, that's where we get to meet with the family. So literally on our family tree, we have almost about 21 species. So just behind me, this is the other famous discovery that was made within the cradle of humankind. That's Littlefoot. So Littlefoot was discovered at Stekfontein Caves back in 1997. So So it happened that the excavation for Little Foot took almost about 18 years. So right now they are done with that excavation. But then the one that we are keeping at Maropeng is a replica because of the actual one is kept at Wits University in Johannesburg. So from where we are now, we'll definitely go to the very last part of the museum that actually speaks about us as modern humans living in this world right now. So it talks about the characteristics for us as modern humans. As we all know that today we do have a complex or much more developed brain. So we're able to make use of tools. We have a more complex brain. Then we can communicate with each other. We're able to live with others.
Now, we took some time off in Limpopo where our sunset chaser Selepe Maifadi experienced the best safari experiences at Fumani Game Lodge. Now, if you need to unwind, then this might be the vibes for you.
Less than 2 hours away from the busy streets of Jozi and Pretoria lies a 5-star luxury hotel by the Waterberg Mountains between Modimolle and Mokgopong in Limpopo.
The market has opened wide for your relaxation, not just your corporate clients only, but clients that just want to come through and relax and unwind and reconnect with nature. So, you know, you're moving away from like the busy city life and coming into a more quiet and more relaxed environment.
The best way to enjoy the sights of Mzansi's wildlife is definitely through safari experiences. In this lodge, you can view the sables, giraffes, elands, zebras, kudus, and a whole lot more through various guided activities.
Why we call it safari quad biking and safari horse riding is while you're on the trail, which you experienced, you got to see animals. So it's a bit more different from like your normal game drives, because with the safari quad biking experience, it's more adrenaline, you're more hands-on, and you get to see nature and reconnect with nature.
What would you say are the best activities to do, and why Limpopo is the best place to come and have a good winter here?
I like to say there is no winter in Limpopo because it's cool. You know, we have a cool autumn, cool winters, a bit sunny, you get some sunny days, so you can still do outdoor activities and it's not too gloomy. So all the activities that you did, your horse riding, you're still able to do that. Also able to do some quad biking too, or just relax by the pool and absorb the Limpopo sun. That's why Limpopo is the best place to travel during winter.
Not only that, but we had a sunset spa massage kind of experience. Tell us about that and the relaxation elements that come within, you know, that kind of leisure activity.
So what we do is we offered spa treatment on like a mountain view, a 360 mountain view. So it's more different to where you're in a property or a rendezvous and just doing a normal massage. So what we do is we take it to the next level. So we take it to the ultimate level of relaxation. So when you had your spa treatment, you could hear the birds chirping in the background, that cool wind, just to add that extra and more relaxation feeling into the experience, rather than just having a normal spa layouts that you can get in Johannesburg.
The atmosphere is very nice, like doing the treatment outside itself, it was wonderful.
So tell us a bit about the treatment. What went into that? What's it called? And why do you think that was the best one to do in the outdoors?
The treatment that we did was a Swedish full body massage. A Swedish full body massage, it has a lot of benefits. Like it de-stress your body, tension release, and then it increased blood circulation. Yeah.
So you think that's the best thing that someone would need for such a quiet sundowner moment out in, you know, the wilderness and experiencing a relaxation treatment?
Most definitely.
It was a great experience. We definitely enjoyed being out there, catching the sun rays. You know, we're about to catch that perfect sunset moment and really just relaxing and unwinding and taking a bit of time off to just chill. After the relaxing massage, we went on a guided sunset game drive where we spotted zebras, wild beasts and giraffes. The night was topped off with a bonfire dinner that had a stunning traditional dance performance by the youngsters from the area.
ina le message ka moare like binere o petinya khoshi horo like ra ibinela re bitsa khoshi ya rena ra performela re itle khoshi ya rena yatla then ya bona ntho re etsang.
Next month, when we look into May, we're celebrating Africa Month. How do you see South African dancers or traditional dancers being encouraged and supported within the entertainment and dance space?
To celebrate our traditionals, yeah. But we do many traditionals, yeah. Stonga, anything, yeah. So, but yeah, we try to be independent. Yeah.
Definitely, Trendz, we're not happy. We just experienced a great traditional dance piece by this amazing group. So we encourage you, if you saw some of the moves, I know I wasn't that great, but maybe take one or two there and incorporate that into your life. I mean, Africa Month in May, we're celebrating that. We're celebrating our authenticity, our cultures. So yeah, do that and we'll see you on the flip side.
Tantalizing your taste buds is a treat, and that's what makes cooking delicious meals always a pleasure. Well, the finals of the Final Cut competition had chefs showing off their most creative recipes recently, and Trendz had to join them whilst the heat was on in the kitchen at the culinary school at Emperor's Palace in Johannesburg East. Let's find out what was cooking.
It's cooking o'clock. Time for ordinary ingredients to be turned into mouth-watering dishes. With just 4 ingredients in a mystery box, these finalists were to bring forth their absolute best in the kitchen. This is the Final Cut, a chance for the final 6 chefs to impress the judges with their culinary skills.
With the Final Cut, we aim to inspire our chefs and to motivate them to grow them, to make sure that they're absolutely having fun. That's number one all the time. It's just that they're having fun, but it's also all about good food and all the creativity and the yumminess that comes with it. Chefs are creative beings. They need to be watered, I can say, and they need to be able to have something to work towards creative to showcase their skills. And that's definitely something that we focus on through this, but also networking.
The requirements included precision and accuracy. Believe it or not, the appetizing meal was to be ready in just 3 hours. And with all the pressure, a food kitchen judge closely observed that the important aspects of the challenge were executed.
My role as a kitchen judge was to manage the chef's time, to make sure that their 3 hours, they planned accordingly, their food that needed to go into the oven went in on time. I also had to check their hygiene practices to make sure that there's no cross-contamination, to factor in food safety aspect of the competition. I had to make sure that they cleaned as you go, so sanitizing in between, because we always keep food safety at our top priority.
Ever had to replicate a professionally prepared dessert for a prize?
I like to make desserts. Dessert is my favorite meal in the kitchen. My favorite. And this one is challenging me. And I also like challenges.
So it's supposed to look exactly like the one that is a sample for you to copy?
Yes.
Does that put you under more pressure?
Not that much.
What do you think is going to make you possibly a winner today?
Because I'm not scared, I'm not nervous, and I know what I'm doing there.
And after much deliberation, it was evident that the judges' taste buds were phenomenally delighted. Prizes for the runner-up winners included an internationally renowned knife set and dishes that are a dream for most cooks. But it was Chad's meal that particularly left everyone salivating.
There were a lot of different techniques that were used in his cooking methods. He incorporated all the ingredients that were given to him in his surprise basket. He planned his meals properly.
Congratulations, Chad. Won't you tell us a little bit about what you think makes an amazing meal?
An amazing meal, I think a balanced meal. So it'll be like texture, seasoning, sweetness. So yeah, it's just an overall balanced meal, and that's what I work towards. So there's something crunchy, there's something sweet, there's something sour, just to balance it all out.
What was your experience of the competition? Was it nerve-wracking?
For me, competition was nerve-wracking. The other contestants are really good chefs, and I knew this was going to be a tough one.
A grand holiday for the winner to enjoy the rewards of his wondrous cooking. But would you dare try creating these award-winning recipes?
Tonight we have the multi-award-winning ballad king Nathi Mankayi with us in studio. In 2014 he graced us with Nomvula and continued creating hits after that major breakthrough. He recently released his 4th studio album titled Usiba Lwegazi, and this 12-track project is inspired by what happens when this Xhosa masterminds writes letters. Thank you so much for joining us in studio tonight. How are you? You know, now you've been in the music industry for a decade now. How would you say your journey has been so far?
Uhambo lwami bathi ngesixhosa beluna amahlande enyuke. Akukho easy. Into endifuna uyazi abantu ukuthi akukho lula. Yabona masingapha kwezi greens abantu babona ngathi kulula, akukho lula. But if uyayithanda lento uyenzayo, kulula ukuthi uphinde ubuyele uqhubeleke nomsebenzi wakho. So into engayisho ukuthi akukho lula, but mawuyithanda into uyakwazi ubana ngaba uyenze.
Absolutely. Now, would you say that Xhosa ballads were popular back when you decided to do this?
Yeah.
You know, why did you choose this particular sound?
Ndichoose le sound ngoba ndiyabona umculo mosuba zathini uyakhula, yabo. Asikwazi ukustika kwinto eyi-one lo mculo wango ngela xesha besafika, because kukhona artists ezintsha ezifika nesound entsha. So if uzawufika wena wenze leya into uyenze ngo-2015 isenongasebenzi namhlanje, yabo. So funeka ucingele abantu abamamela umculo namhlanje, yabo. Yeah, so that's why nditshintshe le sound.
And Usiba Lwegazi means a feather of blood.
Yeah.
Why did you choose this title?
And choose le title ngoba ezingoma ndizibhalayo zingoma ezisuka enhlizweni, so le inki ndibhala ngayo ndibhala ngegazi lami, yabo. So that's why ndithe lusiba lwegazi, ukuthi le pen ndibhala ngayo ipeni ekufutshane nenhliziyo yami, yabo, nobomi bami. Lamabali ndiwabalisayo angobomi bami, yabo. Yeah.
And you created this album during the COVID-19 pandemic when you unfortunately suffered great loss.
Yeah.
What would you say inspired, you know, the lyrics of this album?
Masimamela usiba lwegazi nasisam kukhona ingoma ethi Themba. Enikeza abantu ithemba, abantu abadlule kule nondlule ku, because they believe ba ayindim ndodwa lose abantu and bathanda nabanye abantu balahlekelwe ngabayeni bamakhosikazi abantwana babo, yabo. So kule ngoma benifuna ukuthi sonke thina abantu abalose abantu sikhuthazane okanye siqinisane ngale ngoma. So yandibhale ngeCovid ngexesha abantu bebesweleka abanye beluza imisebenzi. So yeah, ithi Themba. Yeah.
You are passionate about assisting young people. How would you say that your music, and particularly this album, how does it impact and enrich young people?
Ndicinga uba sisom nam ndikhe ndancedwa ngenye imini, uyabona kukhona abantu abandincedileyo. So nam ndiyarhalela ukuthi ndincede abantwana abakhulayo, because mangumntana oyinkwenkwe zininzi izinto zibona sawuphakathi kuzo. Abanye bazibona sebephakathi etrongweni, abanye bakwi-drugs, abanye like benza izinto ebengazimiselanga ukuzenza. But xa kukhona abantu abafana nathi abazawujonga kubo, kulula ukuthi ezinye izinto bangazenzi, yabo. Kubalulekile ukuthi sibe zii-role models ezenza izinto ezizawukhulisa abantwana abancinci abajonge kuthi, yabo, kunokuthi sibalahlekise. So ndicinga ubana ngaba kulapho ndingena khona ke ngoku.
And you are one of those artists who likes to stick to one genre of music. Why would you say that this is important for you to remain to just doing Xhosa ballads?
Ndicinga ubana ngaba andiyazi ndizayiphendula njani, but iphathi yobomi bam, le nto ndiyenzayo iphathi yobomi bam. Andikwazi ufeyikha ndenze enye into endingeyiyo, ndenza le nto ndiyiyo. Le nto uyibonayo ngami le nto ndiyiyo, yabo. Yeah, so nomculo wam unjalo.
And what is in the pipeline for you this year? What else can we expect from you?
abantu bangalindela ukunibona kakhulu kumabonakude nakwicala le-acting yabo so abantu banganibona nakwelo cala elinye icala bangalaziyo ngami kukhona pho ndizama khona.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of performances, where can we catch you?
Kule weekend ndizabe ndise-PE kwi-Sixhosa Festival kulapho ndizawuperforma khona so abantu banganilandela ku-Facebook bazawubona zonke iinkcukacha especially abakufutshane kwelaa cala i-Eastern Cape abafuna ukunibona banganibona kwelaa cala e-PE.
Yeah. And then can you just share with us again your social media platforms?
Ku-Facebook nguNathi Mangai, ku-Twitter I am Nathi Mangai, then ku-Instagram @_Nathi Mangai. So abantu bayakwazi ukunifumana kwezo kulomi nxeba andiyazi yeah.
Well, congratulations on your new album. It sounds amazing. And thank you so much for joining us in studio today. Now it's time to bid you farewell and thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week, Friday at 8 p.m. Remember to catch us on Twitter @Trendz on SABC. I'll leave you with the beautiful sounds of Nathi Mangai.
Ndifihle kwengozi nentsha nayo yonke imimoya thatha indawo njengosomandla sindisa impilo yami kwababantu abalunganga kuba namhlanje ndibonile uba silwe nenyama silwa nemimoya namhlanje ndibonile uba asilwe nabantu thi silwa nemimoya asilwe nabantu thi asilwe nabantu thi silwa nemimoya asilwe nabantu thi asilwe nabantu thi silwane mimoya, 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 silwane mimoya. Ezinye izinto azilungi lobungazama zibanjwe emoyeni ezimfazwe sizibonile aziqali namhlanje ziqale emoyeni ngoba emoyeni kuyaliwa emoyeni 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 kuyaliwa asi